We are streaming live. We had to abort our last transmission because of bad internet connectivity. We're breaking this now from the road because it's so important. While covering Bilderberg 2012, they got international attention from the Washington Post, London Guardian, and blowing the corrupt mafia, corporate fascist cabal wide open. We received from a government employee, we'll just leave it at that, from a government library collection, a senator's notes and documents from Bilderberg 1966. We got these 4 days ago in our off time, have been reading over them, hundreds and hundreds of pages. We've confirmed their authenticity. They're marked not for distribution. Some of this material previously was classified, obviously. Some of it has been made public previously. We're going to be going over all of this. These are the private notes and letters of His Royal Majesty Prince Bernhard, and it's the notes at Bilderberg meeting in Wiesbaden, Germany, 1966 in March. Back then they met in March. Aaron Dykes has had more time than I have to go over all these. This is absolutely unprecedented. They say they want to use global government to cut off resources in the third world, calling it aid and peace. They say national sovereignty is a big threat and has to be dealt with. They break it all down. Richard, do me a favor and cut that off, okay? Okay. Thanks. Because it's distracting me hearing my voice. He's up there listening to me on the radio for today. The point is that all of this is unfolding. This is very, very important information. We'll have reports for you with high-res scans of this and things, Lord willing, when we get back. But this is dangerous material to have. This is the corporate interest of Europe, England, and the U.S. taking over government. They say sovereignty is the issue. Sovereignty is the enemy. Sovereignty means you controlling your own destiny. Coming to you from the countryside. And again, finally, USTREAM just loaded up right now, so we are streaming out there to you. This is no scripts, no teleprompters, real research, hurtling down the road at 75 miles an hour in the InfoWars mobile system. All right, Aaron, we need to go over this. I mean, this is the blueprint for treason. This is the leaked Bilderberg documents. This is a big deal. Aaron Dykes, Infowars.com researcher, tell us what we're witnessing here, what we're about to see.
What we have here are hundreds of pages of documents just from one meeting in Bilderberg, 1966, a few other documents before and after. Why is that year important? Well, it's a snapshot in time of their overall quest for world government. It's a point in the road where they had made a lot of progress. They, of course, were working for world government from the early 1900s, even before that.
Corporate world government. Monopoly world government.
But it's very important, all these foundations, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, the rest of it. They've been working since then, since after World War II, towards the European Union. It started with the
Yeah, you found in here where they wouldn't bomb the Germans because I.G. Farben and people were owned by U.S. and British. I mean, this is pure evil.
Yeah, and European-wise, it started with the European Coal and Steel Community after the war. That was always part of their plan to build up the European Union. It started there. It developed over the years.
That's the Treaty of Rome, 57, all by stealth.
But what we have here between the list of names and all the admitted documents that all came from the Senator Fred Harris Library Collection is a skeleton key to their overall world policy. Now, of course, here we have a signed letter from Prince Bernhard. He personalized it to each of the invitees.
1965 for the 66 meeting.
Right, it went out in December 1965 for the 1966 March meeting. This went to Senator Fred Harris. Again, it's from his collection. He's in Oklahoma, but he's the least important member as far as I'm concerned. There's so many others, the so-called wise men. You know all about Prescott Bush and the others who funded the Nazis. Harriman, of course, a big one of them. Those were the so-called wise men who built the foreign policy, for the United States to work with Europe to build the Atlantic Treaty. They worked with Prince Bernhard as they funded the Nazis during World War II through the IG Farben and all of it. They had the Netherlands as the intermediary bank so they could transfer the assets no matter who won the war and maintain control, no matter how many people died, no matter how many people, no matter who won on the surface of things.
It was all a giant consolidation of power where they owned both sides.
Now, as you know, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, again, his signature here from The Hague, his address for the Bilderberg meetings was on the IG Farben board.
People are asking, we're going to get into that, where do these documents come from? You weren't watching at the beginning. These were given to us by a government archivist who wants this information to be known, but can't release it because of whistleblower information. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're daring and fully committed. We are fearless and double tough, because there's no future if we don't defeat these people. Yes, please continue.
Now, look, you've heard overall about their agenda, but this is 1966 as a snapshot. The agenda that year was, should NATO be reorganized? NATO, of course, is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That means a union between Europe and America, the United States. And that was their big project. It still is part of their big project. They have their European Union. It's floundering now. They're trying to save it. And you saw Bush and others meeting with European leaders.
Well, yeah, they planned the crisis to consolidate power, but they've destroyed things a little bit too good. And here in the documents, in the agenda you're going to get back to in a moment, we'll finish with that, and then I'll get to the handwritten notes from the meeting at Bilderberg.
So again, in 1966, they're talking about reorganizing NATO and the future of world economic relations between industrial and developing countries. That means a few things, but it includes the IMF and it includes the U.S. Agency for International Development, better known as USAID. That has everything to do with population control. When you heard Henry Kissinger talking about food as a weapon at the State Department and as National Security Advisor, that was through the USAID, also known as U.S. Agency for International Development. That was
but in their own memorandums, and it's all in here, just like Prince Bernhard was a big population control guy and WWF, World Wildlife Fund guy, it's actually to make them sterilize themselves and things.
And it was about cutting off food and resources so they could consolidate it corporately and curb the population. Otherwise,
and now they're doing Agenda 21 here to make us poor so we can be controlled. Absolutely. Now, we're going to continue.
Well, this meeting was really mostly focused on NATO. So you see here, handwritten notes from Senator Fred Harris. This happens to be a page from Reuther. He was the head of the United Auto Workers Union, the biggest union at the time.
And he was there selling them out.
Yes,
That's why we were given this info.
And yes, folks who don't know, the unions work with the biggest capitalist in the world. Rockefeller basically bankrolls those unions.
They work with monopoly capitalists, and then Rockefeller acts like he's against them.
So it's really all crony capitalism in spite of what appears to be different philosophies and beliefs.
And they go on to say NATO is in trouble because common fears are reducing success. Again, NATO is in trouble because common fears are reduced. Go ahead.
So this is a talking point with a veiled threat that NATO may fall apart because many of the European countries don't think it's that important. They don't believe the Soviet threat's real. They kind of hint at that was an overblown threat. But they want you to believe in the common fear, so you strengthen NATO. And they point out in the documents that we're going to get to, if this broadcast continues here, if the stream holds up, that NATO is not just about the world army they were building. It's not just about the Soviet threat. It's about integrating Europe and then further integrating that atlantically with the United States. Very important. And he has down here also, nationalism is dangerous. And so
that means you being able to vote, you having control of your life, not some foreign bankers. Nationalism is dangerous. We need fears, fake Al-Qaeda, fake, all these fake threats, so you'll give your rights up. Continue, Aaron.
And so anyway, just to show you, these are Bilderberg documents. We have the list from the Wiesbaden conference that's in Germany, just outside of Frankfurt, where the U.S. occupation of Germany, West Germany, is based, March 1966. The list of participants. Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands was the chairman and founder. You've also got Joseph E. Johnson, president of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. They basically run the U.S. branch of Bilderberg, especially in the formative years. They're still one of the most important foreign representatives at Bilderberg annually. Jessica T. Matthews is and has been president of that.
Yeah,
in
you
modern
find
days.
out the same people are the head of the CFR, the Trilateral Commission, the World Bank, the IMF. It's all skull and bones. In fact, you just looked at one person to give a snapshot of that we're going to cover in a moment. And I see people saying, man, I wish this was on TV all clear. Why are they on a bus? Because we're driving home and these are dangerous documents. We're getting these out now. We're sorry we got secret documents for you, but we're doing the best we can.
And again, these names, some are familiar, some are not, but it is a skeleton key to the overall foreign policy over the past 100 years. It will give you the clue as to all the secret agendas. Yes, they form policy at Bilderberg, and yes,